Deadly infernos have charred homes, emptied villages, blackened forests, and choked far-off cities. Fast-moving wildfires, fanned by strong winds and scorching summer heat, are sweeping across parts of Spain, France, Greece, Portugal, and Albania, forcing thousands to flee. Wildfires ravaging the European continent have torched more than 1 million hectares this year, marking 2025 as the worst year on record. In August 2025, wildfires ripped through swaths of southern Europe, as heat wave made longer and stronger by fossil fuel pollution, and pushed temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius across much of the Mediterranean and the Balkans. Which countries are the worst affected by wildfires in 2025? What's behind recurring wildfires around the world? How has climate change worsened wildfires? And can something be done to prevent these forest fires? All these and more on WION Wideangle this week. Wildfires are a common occurrence across southern Europe in the summer. But their severity can often be exacerbated by heatwave conditions. EU data shows that around 629,000 hectares or 1.6 million acres of land have been burnt across the bloc since the beginning of the year, with wildfires in Spain comprising around a quarter of that total. Over 33,000 people evacuated, 382,000 hectares of land burned. This is Spain, which is witnessing its worst wildfire season since 1994. Spain's state meteorological agency, IEMET, declared that the 16-day heat wave Spain suffered in the month of August 2025 was the most intense on record. The August heatwave exacerbated tinderbox conditions in the country that fueled wildfires that continue to ravage parts of the north and west of the country. Reportedly, more than 1,100 deaths in Spain have been linked to the heatwave. IEMET said a 10-day period within the last heatwave, covering from 8th to 17th of August, was the hottest 10 consecutive days recorded in Spain since at least 1950. The agency said it was a scientific fact that current summers are hotter than in previous decades. Look at these aerial visuals. These images by the Spanish Air Forces show mountains engulfed in flames and smoke in the northwest of the country. Spain has counted at least 4 deaths since the start of the heatwave that has ravaged the country. High temperatures in Spain have sparked multiple wildfires in Galicia, Leon, and Cáceres. According to the Spanish Ministry of the Interior, over 13,600 members of the state security forces have been deployed to fight the fires. Around 575 residents of several towns in Salamanca were evacuated due to the blazes.
I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. My children don't have a home. I don't have enough to recover what I lost. I don't have it.
In the blink of an eye, everything turned into ashes. All of my grandparents' efforts. My grandparents built it. House. My mother grew up in there and raised 5 sons in there. I am the eldest son, and well.
Memories of my mother, photographs, things I'll never recover. They cannot be recovered. The house and things, we'll have to carry on. It can be done. But the memories, I was raised here. Nothing can erase that.
For senior citizens taking refuge in Benavente, a town in a zone ravaged by vast wildfires in Spain, it is both distressing and challenging. According to official statistics, Zamora has the greatest concentration of residents in Spain aged over 80, representing 12.3% of the province's population. Orense, in the neighboring region of Galicia, also weathering wildfires, was close behind, with 12.1%. The fires burning in the north and west of Spain have destroyed more than 350,000 hectares in the past weeks. Many of the elderly shared a common fear, that of irreparable loss and the requirement of needing to rebuild a house and a life, but then lacking the energy and the money to do either.
Criminal. We had to run because the fire was coming from all sides, from everywhere, from above, from below, from everywhere.
When they arrived, between my grandfather, myself, and an elderly gentleman who lives in that house and is 90 years old, we had already put out the fire in this area with hoses and buckets. But there came a point when all the flames arrived that we all thought that we were not going to make it.
Thousands of firefighters, aided by soldiers and water-bombing aircraft, fought wildfires that were tearing through parched woodland and were especially severe in northwestern Spain. Spain had deployed over 500 soldiers from the military emergency unit to support firefighting operations as it battled 20 major wildfires across the country. To help battle raging wildfires, the European Union sent 2 firefighting planes to Spain, after the country activated the bloc's disaster assistance mechanism for the first time. The assistance comes as the country recorded a record wildfire-related death. Spain is the 5th European nation to request assistance with fighting wildfires. On the 23rd of August, the state authorities said that Spain has almost beaten back wildfires that have swept across the country, ravaging huge swaths of land.
Today is a day of optimism, of moderate optimism, of optimism that must remain cautious. Optimistic because, as you can see, the number of active fires in operational status 2 in our country has dropped significantly. There are 13 fires, but we must remain very attentive to the developments. We cannot let our guard down because we are at a crucial moment, with the weather still favorable enough to finally put an end to the terrible suffering these fires have caused.
The neighboring Portugal has been under a state of alert since the start of August. Large rural fires have killed at least 2 people and caused several injuries. According to the latest data from the Institute for Nature Conservation and Forests, wildfires have burnt about 1,550 square kilometers of vegetation in Portugal so far this year. More than 3,200 firefighters battled major fires, most concentrated in the towns of Arganil and Satao. Mainland Portugal has been hit by multiple wildfires since July, particularly in the north and central regions. The largest of them was near Piodao, a scenic mountainous area popular with tourists. Another blaze in Trancoso, farther north, raged for 8 days. For José Diaz, a 77-year-old chestnut producer who lives in a Portuguese village of Terreño, losses caused by wildfires are too severe. The land where Diaz grew chestnuts was burnt down, and he fears it might take 10 years to recover from the losses.
I was born here. The situation is this: we have so many firefighters here, and my house will probably burn. We are here watching it all. People here only have one good to sell with good market prices: chestnuts. I will lose tons of chestnuts. It will take 10 years to recover if I still continue with this bussiness, because I'm 77 years old and I'm watching here something that I had never seen in this parish before.
In another heartbreaking incident, emergency teams dragged an elderly resident of the Portuguese village of Benvende as she desperately tried to protect her house from the flames by hosing down her garden and sidewalk. Even residents of the Portuguese village of Proba carried buckets with water and used their garden hoses to try to stop wildfires from reaching their homes. They joined the efforts of thousands of firefighters who were battling large blazes in central and northern parts of the country. While Proba praised fire brigades, some residents like João Martins complained about the lack of commitment from politicians.
Politicians only want to party food and drinks. Parties only parties instead of doing what they should do. They only want parties.
On the 21st of August, fire brigades and residents of the central Portuguese town of Castelo Novo battled wildfires. At least 3 people have been killed in Portugal's wildfires over the past week. It has been the most severe year for forest fires in the Iberian country since 2017. When 2 huge blazes, months apart, killed more than 100 people in central Portugal.
Fear, so much fear. We were about to leave, and when we arrived at the train station and saw everything on fire, I said, "I'm not going home because I'm scared." It's impossible to explain how bad the fire was. The roundabout was in flames, the fire spread from here to the other side, and everything caught fire at the same time.
Much like Spain, Portugal has also activated the European Civil Protection Mechanism, letting it seek emergency assistance. Several wildfires have broken out across Greece, mainly in forested areas on the mainland, away from tourist hotspots. There have also been fires on the islands of Cephalonia, Zakynthos and Chios. Fires have burned houses, farms and factories and prompted evacuation of thousands of residents and tourists. Take a look at this drone footage, taken on the 14th of August. The visuals show the extended impact of a wildfire that scorched parts of northwestern Peloponnese for 3 days, leaving a trail of destruction across the region around Patras, where more than 500 vehicles were seen reduced to rubble. As Georgios Mavros stepped into the ruins of his home in Volissos on the northern Aegean island of Chios, he broke down. The 60-year-old stood among the broken roof tiles and walls, recollecting how his father built the house back in 1982. Surrounded by the debris, Mavro said he cannot imagine starting from scratch at his age now.
My father built this home in 1982 with a proper license. My brother and I were kids, and now it has utterly burned in 2025. It was my only home. What am I supposed to do? Build a home from scratch? I am 60 years old, with 2 kids in university. My daughter is studying in Volos. She left to come to Volissos for 2 months to work as a receptionist, and now all her stuff burned in here, her degrees, her personal items, her laptop, everything.
Farm animals and pets were rushed to safety as wildfires ravaged the Greek port city of Patras. A farmer navigating smoke-filled roads on his motorbike carried a sheep to safety. Another man fled advancing fire lines and ran with his goats. In other places, residents were evacuated from their homes, carrying pets and rescuing frightened livestock away from the flames. Locals on the island of Chios attempted to douse a wildfire, threatening a yard full of horses in the early hours of the 13th of August. Video footage showed leaping orange flames approaching the horse enclosure as a man fought the flames with a hose. The horses were immediately taken to safety. Major wildfires broke out in Albania too. People were forced to flee, with no time to save their livestock. After the fires subsided, these heart-wrenching scenes started emerging out. A veterinarian administered antibiotics and applied lotion to a horse that sustained burns in Delvina, one of the worst affected towns in the south of the country. The injured horse began eating and drinking after receiving treatment. A donkey with burns was also under care. France's largest wildfire for 75 years burned through an area larger than Paris. Drone footage from the 8th of August show the extent of destruction of France's biggest wildfire in almost 8 decades. With trees blackened, houses and cars charred, and wide patches of forest ground covered in ash. The massive wildfire went through 16,000 hectares of forest and villages in southern France. On the 26th of August, a French firefighter helicopter crashed into a pond while trying to collect water to fight wildfires. Look at this eyewitness video. Reportedly, the aircraft lost balance during the operation and went into a tailspin before hitting the water. Both the pilot and the firefighter on board escaped safely. The forest fires were not just limited to Europe. This summer, hundreds of wildfires have broken out across Turkey as well, forcing tens of thousands of people to evacuate their homes. In July, at least 10 forestry and rescue workers were killed while battling wildfires in the city of Eskişehir. The city's airport and the Dardanelles Strait, as well as a part of the highway, were shut down due to the wildfires for several hours on the 11th of August before reopening. Helicopters were seen taking water from the Dardanelles Strait and dousing the wildfires, while police vehicles worked to extinguish flames that had spread to residential buildings in the area. In the Silifke district of Mersin, the fire began in a forest area on the 13th of August and prompted the evacuation of 6 villages and 5 hamlets. It destroyed several homes overnight, despite firefighters' continuous efforts to contain it. Overnight video showed houses engulfed in flames while firefighters doused them. The facades of the houses were charred, windows broken, and gardens burned. Helicopters joined the effort, dropping water from the air as firefighters resumed operations from the ground.
We cannot say the risk is over until the efforts to extinguish fires fully are completed. Both the lack of humidity, the dry air, as well as the strong northeasterly winds make the job much more difficult.
It's not just Europe where wildfires have wreaked havoc. Across the Atlantic, places in North America too are reeling under the impact of devastating wildfires. Let's take a look at where else wildfires have caused destruction. A large wildfire tore through central Oregon on the 24th of August. Known as the Flat Fire, the blaze, about 3.2 kilometers northeast of the town of Sisters, was active since the 21st of August. In just 2 days, it scorched more than 21,000 acres. Firefighters sprayed down the hills scorched by a wildfire. As of 25th of August, the fire was only 5% contained. Multiple wildfires have ignited across California as the state continues to endure a scorching heat wave. The largest of these is the Pickett Fire, which erupted on August 21 and spread in a remote area of Napa County. By the following day, it had burned more than 3,200 acres. Evacuation orders and warnings were issued for hundreds of residents around Calistoga as firefighters faced challenging conditions while battling the blaze. They contended with dangerously high temperatures and rugged terrain. On the afternoon of the 7th of August, wildfires raged through a remote area east of Lake Piru in California. It quickly burned almost 5,000 acres by the evening.
Last night, when these men were here, the fire, the flames, the actual flames started back of this house, and they wrapped all the way around 180 degrees on that ridge, all simultaneous. It was a fireworks show for 6 hours.
It's devastating to see everything all black, all the trees gone, and poor little animals, the ground animals, you got to feel sorry for them. You know, this morning at my house, we seen 5 deer that came down looking for water.
Remember, in January this year, a series of 14 destructive wildfires affected the Los Angeles metropolitan area and San Diego County in California. Among these, the Palisades fires were one of the most destructive to occur in the history of the city of Los Angeles. Wildfires have become a common occurrence in the summers. But heatwave conditions often exacerbate their severity. Meteorologists say such extremes are becoming more frequent and intense due to human-induced climate change.
We often hear in the media that so many hectares of forest have been destroyed and so much land has been destroyed. But we have to remember that fire is a natural feature of many environments. The Mediterranean, the boreal forests, these regions are used to fire, and the vegetation will normally recover. It's often us humans that are in the way of the fire, and the more we fight fires, the more we prevent fires from burning, the more the forest will accumulate vegetation and the more flammable it gets. So the firefighters have a very difficult choice to either fight the fire and therefore have a future fire being more severe, or perhaps let it burn in some areas and thereby reducing the risk for fire in the future.
Whether caused by humans or nature, when fires burn out of control, they become wildfires, and in recent years the world has experienced a significant change in wildfire patterns. Record-setting blazes are becoming the new normal. While much has been written about preventing wildfires and mitigating fire risks, there seems to be no foolproof solution to the problem as yet.